on everyone? John here, the Wolf of Ecom, and I wanted to break down what I believe the 7 biggest lessons and you could say misconceptions there are when it comes to dropshipping, okay? Because a lot of people sell the dream on dropshipping, and I wanted to just give you the raw and honest truth, because yes, there are some really amazing things about the lifestyle it can bring and the freedom and flexibility, but that's also assuming everything is working out and that you're making money and you're not having tons of issues that cripple you physically, mentally, or financially, okay? So let me go ahead and share these 7 lessons with you, so hopefully you can get the right idea about dropshipping and go into it or continue with it for the right decisions. Now, before we start, I did want to mention that we just recently launched our 4-day program, which is going to show you how to create a converting store, how to find products that will sell, and how to test and scale them profitably with Facebook ads, assuming the product's good, of course. Okay, so make sure to check that out. Link in the description. It's going to cost a fraction of what you're going to pay for these overpriced courses that you see everywhere on the internet that people are promoting like crazy, okay? So let's get right into it, all right? So the first thing I wanted to point out was that you have to go into dropshipping being very aware that things will not work, right? So you will have to test a lot of products. You will have to make a lot of changes. You will have to make a lot of mistakes. You will have to spend a lot of money, losing a lot of money, really is the better way to put it, before you actually find success and also learn the process, okay? Because, you know, the beautiful thing about dropshipping is that it's a low barrier to entry, because you don't need to buy a ton of inventory for something that you have no idea might sell, right? You're dropshipping, you're not actually holding inventory, which is huge, okay? You only spend money or lose money when you're spending it on ads and it's not converting, okay? Aside from that, there's some fixed costs with your store, with subscriptions, other things like that, but for the most part, it is lower risk in that sense. But just be aware that you will have to test a lot of products. I don't know anyone that has tested one product and they're like, wow, this is amazing, I'm making like $1,000 in my pocket every day. It's just not gonna happen, okay? If it does, congrats to you, but I wouldn't expect it, okay? Because, you know, if you go into any free group on Facebook about dropshipping, which I do not recommend you do, because there's a lot of silly questions in my opinion, and also a lot of negativity, a lot of just people just hustling and trying to sell to you. I avoid these groups for the most part for these exact reasons. I try to drop in and share a little bit of value and give some good advice when it makes sense, but most of the time you just want to avoid these places, okay? But a lot of them are just saying, I spend $10, why do I only have 27 visitors? Or I spend $50, why am I not making sales, okay? And they just don't realize that not everything is gonna work. That's not how the world works. If that's how it worked, no one would be going back to work. Everyone would just be launching Shopify stores, okay? So having that perspective is important. Now, the next thing you need to be aware of is that you need to learn how to get comfortable with sucking at something, right? Because even I can think back on some of the products where I put the most time, energy, and money into creating really great videos myself, into, you know, really designing good pages and being super confident this thing's gonna crush, and I spent $300-400 and I basically had like 1 or no sales, okay? Because I was testing aggressively and it just didn't work. I said, you know what, I'm this far invested, let me just give this honest test. I'm gonna try a couple different angles with this, a couple different approaches, okay? So I was willing to do that. I don't recommend you spend $500 testing, especially if you're not very aware of what you're doing, okay? Just keep that in mind, right? And, you know, you will need to become risk adverse with this being said, okay? So I mentioned that I lost $300 to $500 with that product, right, that I'm thinking of off the top of my head, okay? Developing a stomach for that risk adversity is very, very important, okay? So just be aware that you will have to go through things that will not work, okay? That will not make you feel comfortable, especially if you're used to that comfort of having a paycheck to paycheck kind of lifestyle, not living paycheck to paycheck, but having a consistent paycheck. That is, you're gonna have to forfeit that unless you choose to focus part of your time on something just to have income coming in, which I recommend most people do, especially if you don't have a lot of capital built up for this business. Because you should go into dropshipping with at least $1,000 to $2,000 that you are willing to lose and you will not be angry about, okay? The next thing is, you don't always make money. It is a bit of a roller coaster. I found ways to create consistency, but that's after years of working at this game and trying to figure it out, right? I can think back to months where I didn't make anything and the next month we crushed it, okay? So in a sense, you obviously don't want months where you're losing money, so that shouldn't be your end game goal. But just be aware that maybe if you pocket $15,000, $20,000 in 1 month, which is possible, okay, not guaranteed for every person that starts this business by any means, the next month maybe you only make $3,000 to $5,000, even if your sales are 50% higher, right? Because that's just the way it works, right? This business is a grind unless you're building a brand that is something like a long-term back end to it, okay, where you'll get more consistent reorders from your customers. And the next thing is that you know, not every day will be the same. You will be thrown curveballs almost every week at least, especially if you're really serious about this business and you're really trying to scale up and make serious income with this, which you absolutely can. You know, this isn't dropshipping 2016 where everything works, right? That was kind of the story years ago. It was so easy and inexpensive to dropship that a lot of people were jumping in because a lot of things worked. It was like it was a bit of the wild, wild west. And as Facebook started to crack down more, merchants became a little more strict with accepting, you know, new applications, and then things, you know, evolved with China, right? So there's been a lot of positive that's come out of this, but there's also been a lot of challenges, right? So you just have to be aware that whether it's your ad accounts getting shut down, which I talk about in another video, where you can see how to make multiple profiles, multiple, you know, different things like that, or having issues with your merchant because maybe your supplier screwed you and didn't fulfill anything for 3 weeks and you had no idea because they were putting up fake tracking numbers, which absolutely happens if you're drop shipping out of China, right? So all these things are going to create challenges in your life, and honestly these things used to really piss me off, but I look at them as opportunities now, and I believe you have to do the same too, because honestly, you know, think about all the other people that, let's say their, you know, merchant holds 30% reserve on their cash flow, right? How many people will just be mentally crippled because they're weak and they're gonna freaking quit because of that? They're gonna check out, they're done with the business. Great, that's less competition for me and you. The system was weeding people out on its own, okay? Not saying I wish anyone fails, but this is a business, it's competitive. There are other people that are trying to sell the same exact things as you. And if you just accept defeat because of one little curveball, right? I get life happens and maybe this isn't for someone long-term, which I talked about in another video as well, right? So if dropshipping isn't for you, that's okay, because the skill set that it gives you as far as media buying and you know, depending how deep you go with it, learning how to run a business is super valuable, right? So not suggesting anyone quits right now, especially after watching this video, but just know that you will be throwing curveballs, things you don't expect. If you hang out in those free Facebook groups or even maybe some of the paid groups, you've probably seen these things come up, right? So just be aware and don't let those things deter you, okay? The next thing is that you won't be living on a yacht, but the cool thing is that you could actually do some cool stuff that you wouldn't be able to do working your standard 9 to 5, okay? So for example, you absolutely could, you know, assuming there's no pandemic going on and we're not on lockdown, you absolutely could pack up your laptop and go down to Colombia, practicando su español, and you could run your business from there, okay? That is absolutely possible. You could literally live like a king, queen, or whatever you want to call yourself, right, in Colombia, okay? So like that's just a really cool example of the lifestyle this could bring, right? Now, you can't take away the fact that someone working hard at another legitimate career that pays really well in the US, it doesn't mean that you are going to make more money than them, or that you're going to have more security or more stability, right? There's just another option you have in life, okay? And keep in mind, I wouldn't recommend you pack up the laptop and go unless you have some money put away, because trying to find a job in Colombia probably isn't going to be your, you know, fund your dropshipping business unless you find a really sweet gig, okay? So before you take that trip, make sure you have things working already, all right? And next, I want to just point out that, you know, and side note on that too, there's a lot of cool places too where you can connect with other dropshippers, such as, I know Bali's a big hub. You could even go to a lot of US cities like Austin, Texas, Miami, even some people in New York. So there's dropshipping communities and hubs everywhere. People are kind of weird in this space, I've found. They keep to themselves. They don't like to share things. They think everyone's out to get them. There's like a little bit of paranoia. I'm just I'm like an open book, right? So you guys, anyone that knows me, I've connected with a lot of guys that have begun or already had to develop that mindset, which I believe is super important, okay? So if travel is your desire and your motivation, your fuel, like it is for me, this business can absolutely work for you. You just won't be buying a yacht with it. Could you rent one? Possibly. All right, next, most people lose money, and it's just realistic, right? So Most people lose money and they will not succeed. And on top of that, the last point I was gonna make is that most people are gonna fail. But I look at this as any business. You could put a bad rap on drop shipping, right? But it really just depends what you wanna do with this business long term. And could you stay drop shipping and continue to drop shipping? That's all you ever do and be successful? Absolutely. Is it gonna be a grind sometimes? Freaking absolutely, okay? So just be aware that you may meet 20 people starting out in dropshipping and maybe 2 of them stick it out. The success rate is not high in this business, but it is possible, right? But you look at any business, you know, I own a brick and mortar gym. I know for every gym owner I know, probably at least 1 out of 5 or at least 1 out of 10 has quit, right? They've folded up shop, canceled a lease early, and I understand that because it's hard. It's not an easy business. No business is easy, or everyone will be doing it, okay? If you want to do something on the side hustle and just make a couple bucks, probably dropshipping probably isn't for you. You should be looking to make a couple $1,000s as a goal a month, or it's just not going to be worth your time, in my opinion. If you're doing this to make a couple $100, there's other methods you could take, maybe diversifying with influencer marketing or other forms of traffic instead of driving your dropshipping business hard with Facebook ads, which is what most of us do. I'm doing more Google ads now, I'm doing more influencer marketing. Those things are a little bit new to me as you're watching this video, and I hope to diversify because I've found success and consistency with Facebook ads, which is super hard to do, but it's not everything, right? And it's so easy to get caught up on that because Facebook ads are super cool. You could really increase your ad spend, and typically your sales will increase, assuming you've done all the hard work around that to set that up, right? And find a good product with a good creative, with a highly converting store, all of which are things that we talk about in our 4-day launch program. Link in the description. You get a fraction of the cost of all your typical dropshipping courses out there, okay? It's a startup program, okay? Now, I just wanted to offer you some motivation, inspiration here. You know, I've gone through some hard times in my dropshipping journey, and I wish that you would be able to skip those. I know you won't be able to skip everything. We learn from mistakes sometimes more than watching a YouTube video of a guy that already made the mistake, okay? But hopefully you just hearing this honest truth from me about the good, the bad, the ugly, but that you can go and live in some cool places and live more of a laptop lifestyle. It is possible. Just be aware that most people will fail with this business. You will probably lose a lot of money before you can get it to work, and that's okay, right? Because life is a journey, and if this is what you want to be doing, you absolutely should be doing it, all right? So have a great day, guys. I hope this really brought some truth to you about dropshipping, about what it's like, about the misconceptions, and hopefully you'll be able to apply some of the lessons I've had to learn the hard way, and you won't make the same mistakes, all right? And I'll see you in the next video.